there's a term entrepreneurial. Yeah. Which is when you are within the context of a company or a group where you're not taking the risk.
Yeah.
You're able to flex that creative entrepreneurial muscle. And they let me do that. And that was so valuable to getting here.
Hello and welcome to Pathways E3, a special edition of Pathways with Amber Stitt. The Pathways E3 podcasts were recorded with special guests who were attending and collaborating at the NAPHA E3 conference in Newport Beach, California in September 2025. Let's join the conversation. We are live at E3, and I am so excited to have my friend Alanah on the show. So thanks for being here.
I'm so excited to be here with you, and what a fun little setup.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out. And I've seen you now more than ever, most recently, twice in 30 days.
Yes.
And we just celebrated something that we'll be talking about if you can't tell already. But I was getting ready for our podcast and I was thinking about going back in time. And I was also organizing some photos from WFS since we're going to a national conference soon. And I was like, 2022 is when Phoenix had the conference. If I think I have those numbers right. And that's only been, if I could do some math, which, I'm not that good at math, 3 years that we've known each other.
That seems crazy. It's only been 3 years.
That's
crazy. Okay.
To me, that's pretty wild because of your story. And that's why I thought with E3, empowerment is one of the three that is a part of the NAPHA, kind of the slogan, but the theme behind it all. You were able to shake things up. And I met you before you went out on your own and created not one, but really two and maybe kind of three different entities now. And I always like to share that there's really, besides compliance, really no rules in business. So I really want to kind of tee that up and let's talk about how you went from working from an organization to really figuring out your move. How did you know when it was time to start your own business?
It's funny because the book is Breaking Up with Your Broker Dealer, and I broke up with my broker dealer, and it was a really cute little announcement when I did it. But all of the same signs that it's time for an advisor to break up with their broker dealer are the same reasons that I knew it was time for me to do so. And I think for many people to realize they should leave a job or leave a person that they're in a relationship with. I have always considered myself an advisor advocate. I think like financial advisors, I thought I was going to be one.
Yeah.
And I think what they do is very important. They're also a unique breed of humans, and the advisors being taken care of was very important to me. And I was with a leadership team where we were doing that, and we would bend over backwards for the advisors that were our clients. And for a long time, I was really aligned with the company that I worked at and being able to do that. And I thought that we were doing right by advisors. I felt really good about the advisors I was recruiting to that company, that they were in a great place. And then things started to happen where we weren't putting the advisors first. And that's when I started to have this sort of friction with the leadership team, with decisions that the company was making or decisions that I was making that weren't aligned with their strategic ideas. And for me, the strategic idea was if you take care of the clients, which were advisors for us, everything else sort of takes care of itself. And so when that happened, I realized, one, I actually don't think that I'm supposed to be an employee. I think that there is so much creative freedom in being a business owner and entrepreneur. And I wanted that. I mean, I couldn't have written a book, and I did have a lot of freedom, to be clear. I was doing the silly doodles on LinkedIn and social media for a long time. But yeah, I think that was the misalignment was the biggest issue.
Okay. So you go out and you start your new thing. And it wasn't I feel like you just went out and then everything's just started rocking and rolling. But I think part of it was you went out and you really did work with a lot of people and network, and coming to events like this are super helpful to then figure out who are your liaisons or your advocates for this new business. And so they really just, I think, took off, right?
Yeah, no, it did. And it's actually really wild when I look back at some of the moves along the path there of, again, starting to put content out and being a content creator where you are giving valuable information to your potential clients for free. We know this is the best way to develop business, right? Is just giving that information. The people who want to work with you will find you. I was out in networking groups like WIFS where we met, NAPHA, FPA. I mean, I did all of them. And I was doing that as a corporate employee.
Right. There's a freedom.
Yeah. And so it was nice because, they would pay for travel and stuff. Or the American College, I hosted a podcast for them. It was part of their next gen advisory task force. And so I was really out in the industry, and it was so much easier when I did leave because I felt the strength and support of that network that I had built. And I hope, but because I had always been trying to be the authentic brand of Alanah, I was never drinking a company's Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And so people trusted me because I would tell them when they shouldn't come to Lincoln, was the company I was at the time. And I would say, I think you should look at LPL, or I think you should look at Cambridge or whatever. And I always just gave them the advice that I would want to give if I was an independent person, even though there were times that was hard because you want people to come and be successful and make money and all that stuff. But I think just operating that way out in the industry, like I could not have scripted my leaving better.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what I was building for.
Because that's your tagline. Yeah. That was your handle. On Instagram.
Yeah.
Is break up with your broker dealer.
Yes.
I was about to say freedom to do your marketing, your own content, but I forgot you started doing that.
Yeah.
And making your own friends.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's huge. And I think it's becoming actually more popular now. Not, now that I'm thinking about it, that people are doing more on their own to be separate from. Yep. And whether it's not just financial services.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, this is like kind of true of relationships too, right? It's like you have to have your own identity and friends and activities and things. And like, because then if you've built yourself to be attached to a company, a person, things that can change, then you're not set up for if that changes. And that's more devastating, right? When your whole identity was tied to a company or a person or a job or whatever. And it was always just me. And I'm so grateful. I had some amazing bosses, Heather Wills, Celeste Gourlay, who let me create and do these things in there's a term intrapreneurial. Yeah. Which is when you are within the context of a company or a group where you're not taking the risk. Yeah. You're able to flex that creative entrepreneurial muscle. And they let me do that. And that was so valuable to getting here.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Pathways. Please consider giving us a like and subscribing to the channel. Your support goes a long way towards helping us bring you more compelling content. Remember, let's take action together. Now let's jump back into the conversation. The Catalyst brand that you have now, did that manifest itself because of what you were putting out there? Or did you get lucky? I believe in luck. So how did this all transpire to have your company, but also an evolution of it?
I think I do believe in luck, and I feel like I have been very lucky, but I also know, and this is the thing I especially like to say to younger people in our industry, women in our industry, of like, I was lucky in so many ways. Again, I had these great bosses, but like I did also build proposals to ask them and show them, hey, I wanted to go do this thing. Here's going to be the return on it, or what I think is going to come out of it. I wasn't asking for those things. I asked to be in the rooms. I asked for, going to certain events. And so there was a tremendous amount of luck that I had great supportive bosses, and then I still had to do the work for it. Yeah. So I think both. But to get to your question on Catalyst, so Break Up With Your Broker Dealer had been like just my personal brand and tagline, which I'm trademarking. I've never created anything that I thought was novel. And this is like the only thing that I'm like, that was a fun one. So Break Up With Your Broker Dealer was how I was branding originally. And then Advisor Launch Lab is our other product offering where we help about that one. Yeah. Hire and train new advisors for independent teams. So when you're bringing on a junior associate advisor. And then those two things are very different, and they're very different messages. It's the same audience. It's financial advisors in both. We're advocating for financial advisors everywhere. And Ayanna Harris and I had been introduced to each other and realized we had really good synergy. She has years of experience in the industry. She's just a soulful and kind person. And we were very aligned in how we wanted to do business and advocating for advisors. And she was experiencing some of the same signs that it was time for her to break up with her firm. And I didn't think that anybody would want to break up with your broker dealer necessarily. That was something that is, it's silly. I'm very silly, and that is a part of my brand. And so Catalyst was to pull together a few advocates who support advisors. Ayanna Harris is one of them, Lindsay Lewis. And then we've added some other folks that support our team as well. And it was just the right word. Like I had written it down actually, like maybe a month before launching. And I had put Catalyst in a bubble at the top, and then Break Up With Your Broker Dealer, and then Advisor Launch Lab, like underneath it. Like, here's how we tie these things together. We're a catalyst for advisors making change. It's crazy. The word comes up all the time when we're talking to the folks that we work with of we are the ones who help them realize that they need to break up. We are the ones that help them realize they need to hire a junior associate. And there's a catalyst there that creates this tremendous change within their business and helps them to grow or expand, whatever that means, right? Grow could mean you want to work less and buy a house in Spain. And grow could mean you want to double your revenue. Determining what those things are is what we are the catalyst for.
So let's talk about maybe the origin story. There is a person that I think you talk about that was the original inspiration. Yes.
Yes. Okay. There's two pieces here because you're a part of this, right? Yes. So there's like the inspiration for the book was a woman named Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah. Her name is Carmen in the book because we changed all the advisors' names.
Okay. And that's where I was like, I'm missing her name, but I heard a different name at your launch party. So, or maybe you said the real one. I don't remember.
Yes,
but
it was Sarah. And Sarah was one of the first experienced advisors I helped through a breakup. And she had said to me that she was in an abusive relationship with her firm, which was a bit aggressive, right? And so I didn't want it to be, get out of your abusive relationship with your firm because that seems like there's other connotations. But we've all experienced being in a relationship where you realize there's not a future for one reason or another. And she was experiencing that. They controlled her time. They controlled her money. They didn't celebrate her. They weren't inviting her to events. And she was an incredibly successful woman, CFP, an advocate for her company, a great support
doing all the right things.
Yeah. And she wasn't experiencing what I thought she should as the successful, high producing, extremely experienced woman that she was. And so she inspired the breakup signs, all the signs that it's time to break up and this concept of getting out of a relationship that doesn't have a future. So, all of the other stories of advisors that I worked with after that come in and the reasons that they needed to break up. But the book itself, because I don't know when I came up with the signs and the breakup with your broker idea, I don't know that I knew I was writing a book about it at any point.
Because I think doodling and drawing is a way for you to get ideas out on the table. And then you're going to decide, okay, what's the move? I mean, I remember you doing presentations and doodling, kind of like part of that advisor launch lab.
Yep. I do it for our advisor risk tolerance spectrum. I love to visually talk through things, but you were actually a part of me writing the book itself because you wrote a book and you had introduced me to the group that you used to help with that. And I had a conversation with them and then they were like, oh, you've mostly written this book,
wait, what?
You have a concept, you have a target audience, you have the content, right? And so that person was like, you don't actually need us, you need someone else. And introduced me to the woman who I hired, who's my book coach, Katya, who is amazing. So you directly
I cannot wait to tell Patricia and Wendy that.
Yeah.
Oh, so neat. So I'm not done talking about your book though, but I'm so excited that is part of this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So I jump into the book and of course you can't help but just be happy with the colorful, the energy behind it. And I broke up with my broker dealer over 8 years ago. I was licensed and I'm one of those ones that let my licenses go by choice because I was going strictly into insurance. And so I don't meet a lot of people like me. So I'm reading it from a different lens. And as an entrepreneur and as a person that has a framework that just talks about pivoting. So I'm hearing that word a lot now too, people doing a pivot. And I feel like this is the bones of the structure of really a blueprint for anybody. It could be not in the financial services industry. Are you okay with me saying that this could be for all business or relationship?
Yeah, it is funny and to get personal because this is just who I am. Two things. I did have a girlfriend who was like, when are you writing the actual relationship breakup book? Because I also went through a divorce last year and experienced that. And the same thing, right? There were those signs that we just weren't aligned for the future. And that's okay. Everybody ends up happier on the other side when we're out of alignment like that. And sometimes you can get back in alignment with someone.
Sure.
There's a section in the book about when the juice isn't worth the squeeze, when you shouldn't break up. I know everybody thinks that's usually my advice is break up with him, but sometimes you should stay and work through the things. But I think there are a number of messages. One of my girlfriends was reading it on a plane and said she realized she's not an advisor, but that she has all the signs that it's time to break up with her job. And so, I think there are some underlying tones that sort of apply to, again, the idea of being a catalyst, right? Yeah. Sometimes you need somebody who nudges you or inspires that action and you don't realize what's normal until you're talking to a friend about it and realize, oh no, I'm actually out of alignment or this isn't working or I'm not happy or I want something different. And so I hope that the book does that for advisors, but it sounds like there are some larger implications here too.
Yeah. I was like, how does this work to apply to me? And I was reading through and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would give this to another person that's really trying to find their path. And that's the premise of the Pathways podcast is really, we're all going to have our own path.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of wrapping up here. You talk about money. I think all of us girls in our little mastermind group, and for anyone who wants to join, pushing revenue goals. But you also have this tagline that you say, and can you share that for
make more money, have more fun?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So what does that mean to you?
So I grew up, I feel like, not talking about money at all. And because of some like religious beliefs too, I think there was some understanding that like humility was important, or not having more, or not wanting more than what you need.
Sure.
And I think like I still have that in perspective, but I also realize how powerful it is to have money, and not just the accumulation of it for accumulating it. And there needs to be a point where enough is enough, I think, right? That you're satisfied and you've reached that equilibrium of, I have the money I need to do the things I want my life to be, right? To take care of my family, to travel. Like, I tell my friends, like, part of why I make money is to spoil my friends. Like, I don't have kids and I want to spoil my friends. And so I want us to go to lunch at Nobu, and I want us to valet the car, because then we have more time to spend with each other, whatever this place is. I want to go to the vacations, and I want ease. And so I think understanding what those things were that were important, I classify all of that as more fun. And like, if you have more money, then you get to have more fun.
I love that. So then I have a trick question for you.
Oh boy.
Would you choose more time or more money? I think I know the answer to that though.
Yeah. I think like more time is the answer.
You just said it.
Yeah.
I had that written down before you said all of that.
No, I was literally saying this yesterday, and I'm trying to remember why, but the money always comes back, right? Like, you can always make more money. That's a thing I've learned, but the time doesn't. And so that's also where it's important to make more money, have more fun. If you're not doing both, if you're just making the money and you're like in that grind and you're not doing the other part, I don't want that. Like, we have to be able to make the money to have the control of our time.
And that's part of the podcast series at E3 is there's a foundational element there. There's a little bit of legacy. And if all we're doing is working and we're not truly have an identity on our own term, having fun, time with family, whatever, friends too, then, you know, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's a perfect place to stop for today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited to be your friend and can't wait for more to come.
More to come. Thank you for your role in making this book happen and this conversation.
Yeah. Love you, girl.
Love you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Pathways E3, recorded at the NAFA E3 conference in Newport Beach, California. Join us for more insightful conversations with the experts and leaders of their industries. Until next time, keep taking action on your unique path.